Hello everyone, welcome back. We got another pre-recorded video. In today's video, we're looking at 5 mock trades. These are 5 trades that I think could very likely happen before the 2025 NHL trade deadline. We'll get to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another pre-recorded video here at the Unintended Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. Would never be able to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so we can all discuss today's videos. So we've got 5 mock trades to talk about here today. I did this last year, so I'm going to do this again this year. It's just something really fun and interesting to do. I really do like seeing some of these mock trades, so I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this down in the comment section below and what you think of these specific mock trades that I have set up for you guys down in the comment section below. Would love to hear your guys' opinion on all these. So we're going to start off with one of the more realistic ones in my opinion. Most of these are realistic, but I could definitely see this one happen come the trade deadline. And it is a 3-way deal between the Toronto Maple Leafs, Columbus Blue Jackets, and San Jose Sharks. Now we know that we've been talking recently about the Toronto Maple Leafs needing to add second line center and how they've been in the market for one. Well, I have them going after a second line center who could work well for them in the San Jose Sharks organization, and that's Mikael Granlund. Granlund, I think, could be a very fantastic second line center there for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think he could sort of help round out that center core in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. Now, the unfortunate thing is the Sharks don't have any retention slots available, so they can't retain any of Granlund's current $5 million cap hit. So I have this deal going via the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Jackets have an abundance of cap space and could definitely help out the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the full trade, in my opinion, is as follows. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquire Mikael Granlund with 50% of his contract retained, so at a $2.5 million cap hit, and Dylan Gambrell, who's a depth forward from the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they acquired them. In exchange, the Columbus Blue Jackets acquired the Toronto Maple Leafs 2027 4th round pick, as well as forward Jarnkrok, and San Jose Sharks acquire forward Nick Robertson, as well as the Toronto Maple Leafs 2028 2nd round pick. So this is an interesting move that I think could help out all sides. If you look at it from the Sharks perspective, there's a very likely chance Granlund will get moved at some point. He's having fantastic numbers this year. He had fantastic numbers last year. He's a really good offensive forward, and with him in the final year of his deal being a solid, versatile middle 6 forward, I think there's a very likely chance a lot of teams will have interest in him, and he's a very likely trade candidate come the trade deadline. For the Sharks, they are able to get Nick Robertson, who's from the California area. I think could be a really good top 9 forward for him. I think Robertson still needs that fresh start. He's just still not doing overly great in Toronto, so I think if he could get moved, that would be fantastic. On top of that, they get a 2nd round pick. Sure, it's a couple of years down the road in the 2028 draft, but it's going to be draft capital for them when they are able to contend for a playoff spot. So that's a really good move there for the Sharks, in my opinion, to give up Granlund but get Robertson and a 2nd round pick. For the Jackets, they are able to get Jarnkrok. Now Jarnkrok is on injury reserve right now. Very likely chance he'll be on injury reserve for a couple more months, but he's a solid middle 6 forward, and I think could work well for that Jackets team. He's got this year plus an extra left at $2 million cap hit, which also alleviates some of the cap pressure for the Maple Leafs. And the Jackets also get a 4th round pick for retaining money on Granlund, so it's only for the rest of this year. The Jackets have loads of cap space, so there's a very likely chance that they'll weaponize it come the trade deadline, and I think this could be a really good way to do so, getting a 4th round pick and a solid middle 6 forward in return. So I think that could be a really good pickup there for the Jackets. When it comes to the Leafs, they'll have found their second line center in Granlund. I think it could work really well with maybe a guy like Nylander or Martin on his wing. I think that could be a really good second line for the Leafs. And they get a depth forward in Dylan Gambrell to sort of help replace the losses of guys like Robertson and Jarnkrok. So I think that could be a really good pickup there as a depth addition too. So I think this sort of a deal could help out all 3 of those teams. It could give the Jackets some draft capital and another middle 6 forward. It could give the Sharks a solid young player as well as a 2nd round pick, and it could give the Leafs some center upgrades. So I think this could be a deal that helps all of these teams. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. The next trade we're going over to is an interesting one between the Vancouver Canucks and Pittsburgh Penguins. We know the Canucks have been looking heavily for a top 4 defenseman, really scouring the markets and are looking for some sort of an improvement. Well, I have them finding their improvement in Pittsburgh. I think there's a very likely chance Pittsburgh is still going to be a seller come the trade deadline, and I have them shipping Marcus Pettersson to the Canucks in a trade that is as follows. Marcus Pettersson, with 50% of his contract retained, so with a cap hit of just over $2 million, is going to be moved to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for young forward Nils Höglander, prospect Ty Mueller, and a 2028 3rd round pick. So I think this sort of a deal helps on all sides. We know that the Canucks are heavily in the market for a top 4 defenseman right now. Marcus Pettersson, I think, could be really good. He could fit on the left side, maybe partner with a guy like Tyler Myers or Carson Soucy on that second pair. He's a really good defensive-minded top four defenseman. I think could be a really good asset to the Canucks. And with the retention on the salary, the Canucks actually get some roster benefits in the future with this sort of a deal. So I think this could be a fantastic move for the Canucks. When it comes to the Penguins side of things, you know, they value young NHL players more than prospects or picks. So the fact that they're able to get Nils Höglander in this sort of a deal is really good. He's signed for this year, and then he's got a 3-year extension after this at $3 million cap hit. He could be a fantastic, speedy, top 9 forward there for the Penguins, whether it be on the third line or a second line, maybe even getting time with guys like Malkin or Crosby. I think Höglander could be a really good, versatile winger there for the Penguins, and I think that could really boost the Penguins' prospect pool, or at least young player pool, up. They also get Ty Mueller, who was recently signed by the Canucks. I think he's in the first or second year of an ELC. He looks like a decent young prospect who could eventually be a solid third, maybe second line forward, but most likely a third or fourth line forward. So it's a young prospect who might have a future as a solid NHLer. So that's another pickup there for the Penguins. And they get a third round pick in 2028 draft. Sure, it's a long ways down the road, but it's another draft pick that the Penguins could use as draft capital as they try and rebuild this team around Crosby and Malkin. So it'll be an interesting trade, but I think with the Penguins, there's a very likely chance they're going to be sellers at the deadline and move a couple of UFAs. And I think Pettersson's a very likely candidate. And with the Canucks looking for some top 4 help, I think that could be a really good move there for both sides. The next deal I want to talk about is one that will help the Carolina Hurricanes goaltending situation. Now, we know they've been looking for a goaltender over the past little while, and there's a very likely chance they'll make some sort of a goalie move before the trade deadline. Well, I have them going all in and trying to add a new starter for that system that could help them not only for this year, but for the future as well. So I have them going after John Gibson. The trade is as follows. I have them trading for John Gibson from Anaheim, with the Ducks retaining $1.4 million of his contract, and in exchange, the Anaheim Ducks acquire Frederik Andersen, Gleb Trikazov, and a 2026 second round pick. Now, we always know that while goaltenders are really good, the trades for them are always sort of low on value, so I don't think that would take too much to take John Gibson out of Anaheim. He's a solid goaltender, but I don't think he's worth as much as like a defenseman or a forward, so I think this sort of a deal would help both sides. We know that the Carolina Hurricanes goaltending situation is not the greatest right now. Kochekov's not done overly great as the starter so far, with Anderson being injured, and Martin and Tokarski are decent backups, but they're not long-term solutions. So with this sort of a deal, they get rid of Anderson because he's injured right now. There's a very likely chance he might still be dealing with injuries come the trade deadline, and if that's true, I think there's a very likely chance they'll try and go after someone who can really help them long-term. They get a new starter in Gibson who could really help them, and have Kochekov be the backup for the next 2-3 years. So I think that could be a really good pickup there. With the retained money, he's only at a $5 million cap, which I think could be a really good fit there for the Hurricanes. Meanwhile, for the Ducks, it's a decent return. Trikazov was a recent second round pick of the Carolina Hurricanes. Looks like he's going to be eventually a solid top 9 forward. I think he's already signed his ELC and has come over from the KHL. So I think that could be a really good pickup there for the Ducks long term. A solid top 9 winger who could work with some of their elite level playmakers. I think that could be a really good pickup there for Anaheim. They also get Anderson, who might be able to be flipped at the deadline as well. They could try and flip him. He's in the final year of his deal. He's injured right now. I have him sort of being a piece that is moved because the Ducks need the cap space to bring in Gibson, but I think there's a relatively chance that the Ducks could try and flip him at the deadline, so we could see that happen. Maybe he re-ups in Anaheim. We'll have to wait and see, but I think that could be a really good pickup there. And of course, they get a second round pick in the 2026 draft that they could either use and draft someone young and help them for their future rebuild, or they could try and move it off and try and get some sort of an upgrade elsewhere. So we're gonna have to wait and see on that, but very likely chance that we could see this deal happen, as the Hurricanes are heavily interested in Gibson. And I think this could be a deal that helps on both sides. And the last two ones are involving two of my favorite teams. We'll start with the Buffalo Sabres. Now, we know the Sabres and New York Rangers are both in the midst of horrible play right now. The Rangers have lost like 10 of 13. The Sabres are on an 11-game losing streak. Like, changes need to happen for both organizations. So I have a blockbuster deal happen between these two sides. So the trade is as follows. The New York Rangers trade Chris Kreider to the Buffalo Sabres, and in exchange, the Buffalo Sabres trade 3 pieces back. That's pending UFA forward Jordan Greenway, that's top young prospect Isaac Rosen, and a 2026 second round pick that's Buffalo's. That could turn into a 2026 first round pick, so it is conditional, if the Buffalo Sabres make the 2026 playoffs. So this could be an interesting pick up there for both sides. For the Rangers side, we know that Kreider's been a very valuable piece on that team, and he's been a really good goal scorer, but there's been a lot of talk recently about Kreider being flipped at some point in the not too distant future. I think Kreider in Buffalo could be exactly what the Sabres are looking for, a goal scorer, a veteran presence, and someone who could help in their top six. So I think that could be a no-brainer move for the Buffalo Sabres, given the fact they haven't really done much to their top six to improve it. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Rangers, their acquisitions, Isaac Rosen, I think, is not too far away from being a solid NHL player. Just like Yuri Kulik, I think maybe as early as next year, Isaac Rosen could be a solid top 9 forward. He looks like he's going to be a fantastic playmaking top 6, top 9 forward eventually at the NHL level. So I think he could be a really good pickup there for the New York Rangers. They get Greenway, who could help with their playoff push this year. The Rangers are a couple of points out of the playoff spot, but they're not dead yet. There's a very good chance they will try and make some improvements to try and improve for this upcoming season. Greenway's in the final year of, I think, a 3 or 4 year deal with AV of $3 million, so it could be a really good pickup there for the Rangers to be a solid, hard-hitting top 9 forward to help them with this current playoff push that they're on right now. And then the second round pick could turn into a first round pick if the Sabres somehow miraculously make the 2026 playoffs. So I think this could be a deal that helps both sides. For the Sabres, it could give them some added incentive to make the playoffs next year. It could also help them get a solid former 50-goal scorer in Chris Kreider, and could really help them boost that top 6. But for the Rangers, it could help them now with Greenway, it could help them in the future with Rosen, and it could give them another solid draft pick that they could use for themselves or trade at a later date. So I think this could be a really good move there for both the Sabres and the Rangers, so we'll have to wait and see on that. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this deal as well down in the comment section below. And the last mock trade I wanted to discuss with you guys today is a trade between two Canadian teams, and that's the Ottawa Senators and the Calgary Flames. We know the Senators have been in the market for a top 4 defenseman. We know that the Senators have also been rumored to potentially be in the market to moving a center like a Josh Norris. So this is a trade that I think could help out both sides. The trade is as follows. The Ottawa Senators acquired Jacob Pelletier and Rasmussen Anderson from the Calgary Flames, and in exchange, the Calgary Flames received Josh Norris and a conditional 2026 third-round pick. The Sens have 3 third-round picks that year, so the Sens will give the Flames the higher of the 3 picks they have. So I think this could be a really good trade for both sides. It gives them both something that they desperately need. For the Senators, it gives them a top 4 defenseman. We know that they're in a playoff race right now. They could definitely strengthen their blue line. So if they could get Anderson, have him be like a solid second, third pair defenseman on that Senators team, I think that could be a fantastic pickup there for the Ottawa Senators, given the fact they are in desperate need of some defensive help. But it doesn't only help them for this year because the Senators are in a playoff race, but also could help them for next year because Anderson has 2 years left on his deal, this year and next year. So it could be a trade that works for the Senators not only for this upcoming playoff run, but for the future as well. They also get Pelletier, who I think could be a solid top 9 forward in Ottawa, especially if some of their pending UFAs wind up leaving in the free agent market next year. So I think this could be a really good trade there for the Senators. When it comes to the Flames side of things, sure, does it hurt to lose Anderson? Absolutely, but they get a solid top 6 center in Norris. You know, their center group is not overly great. Sharangovich can play center at some points. Kadri and Zary have been centers for the last while, but they don't really have a true number 1 center. Well, Norris has been a true number 1 center over the past couple of years. He's sort of been tandeming with Stützle like a first or second line center, so I think that could be a really good pickup there for the Flames. Pop Norris in as your top line center, have Kadri or Zary be your second and your third line center, and you are set down the middle for a couple of years to come. So I think this could be a really good pickup there for both sides. Moving Norris to the Flames would help their center depth a lot, and moving Anderson to the Senators would help their decor a lot. So I think this could be a win-win deal for both sides, and I think it's a very likely trade that we could see at least in the off season, if not before this year's trade deadline. So definitely, I'll figure your thoughts on all 5 of these deals down in the comment section below. Which one do you think is the most realistic? Which one do you think is the least realistic? Would you tinker with any of those sorts of deals? And I'd love to hear guys' mock trades for this upcoming 2025 trade deadline down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video. If you're like to subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. We're never to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. So I'll discuss in this video. Also a blog to make news, rumors, analysis. So for that, so check that out. I've linked to that in the description below. And kind of see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.